not every day when you can just leave your room, come out trackside, and immediately be blessed with this. The sight of a massive, very clean and fresh EMDs sitting right before you. Fortunately for us, today is one of those days.
Incredible.
As here in the CP Jones area, we come across this crisp set of EMD power. And of course, with us being in Atlanta, something had to pop up. And within 5 minutes of me coming out here, I heard the rails singing and turned around to see the glare of headlights with the locomotive power of Norfolk Southern P12 coming out of East Point, Georgia. Perhaps you're wondering, why is this train sitting here? Well, this train is actually CSX G507, a grain train set to go into the CSX Abbeville subdivision and whose destination I'm honestly not too sure. Earlier in the day, I received an update that G507 is going to have not just one, but two fresh CSX EMDs in addition to a vintage CSX-9 in yellow nose 2 livery. And unfortunately for me, I happened to come here just after the crew had gotten off and tied down this train and waiting for the next crew to continue to take this train on its journey. And you may be asking, why did I miss this train? Well, I lost my keys.
Bruh. This guy stinks.
Yeah, I cannot make this up. And when I say lost, I mean I lost my keys. I'm talking about I got out of my dorm, picked up my bike from the dining hall because that's where I locked it earlier in the day, went over to the library to get some studying done before my class, and I reached in my pocket to get my keys for my U-lock, and to my tragic surprise, they were not there. So at this point, I am checking all my pockets like crazy. I'm checking my bag, I'm pretty much emptying every compartment I have, seeing where these keys are, and they are nowhere to be found. And for some odd reason, this day, I knew the exact route I had taken. I knew exactly where I had crossed the street, where I had stopped to take out my phone to change music. So I literally spent, I think, maybe an hour and a half or close to 2 hours looking for these keys, freaking out because I could not find them. Because not only did I need these keys to get back into my room, I needed these keys so that I could use my U-lock. And I was further stressing out because all this time that I was spending trying to look for these keys was supposed to be devoted to me studying for a test that I had the very next day in the hardest class I was taking. And unfortunately for me, after hours of vain effort, I did not find those keys and I just went to class defeated. I was so stressed out. Fortunately, one of my roommates was able to let me back into my apartment and at least let me into the living area. But because I did not have the keys, I could not go into my individual room to get my camcorder that was sitting on my desk.
You are so sorry.
So honestly, I thought that all hope was lost, to tell you the truth. I was telling the boys, I'm not seeing this train.
One shot at that.
And of course, they reveled in seeing me take yet another L. Haha, I don't like you guys. And so I was just sitting in the living area. Honestly, just so defeated. Like, there's no way that this train is running right behind my dorm and I can't even get out to see it because my camcorder, which is literally across the wall behind me, is locked out of my grasp by my own ignorance. And then the same roommate that let me into the apartment in the first place said that we should check the housing office. The housing office, which I had honestly thought was closed for the day, but he said, nah, let's go. So we went over there, and to my surprise, they were open. And I asked them, did anyone happen to turn in any keys? And lo and behold, they had the keys. Oh my goodness. Which I should have already known because they literally emailed me an hour and a half before telling me that I had the key. My life is a movie. I cannot believe I keep selling like this.
I can't believe you've done this.
Oh my goodness, bro. This has to be like a character trait or something, bro. This is incredible. Unfortunately, because of that whole blunder, I was not able to catch this train moving. But at least I was able to get the power stopped here at CP Jones while G507 was waiting for another crew to continue to take it on its journey. And with it being stopped here, we can take a very good close look at these units right here. 2 flared SD70 Max and an old Dash 9 all on the front. Whoa. Now, this isn't the first time that we've seen a CSX Mac leading a train out here in Atlanta, but this Mac is different than the one we saw in the past because of the flared radiator on the back. The flared radiator actually indicates that this locomotive meets Tier 1 regulations.
What?
Basically, when Macs first came out, they were very dirty, and as EPA regulations were becoming more strict and limiting on the volume of pollutants that could be emitted, future manufactured locomotives had to be modified to meet these requirements. And this Mac before us is an example of a unit that was modified to have cleaner emissions and as a result required more cooling. Thus, we have these flared radiators, which serve to provide more air so that the locomotive can be further cooled with whatever after-treatment technology that they added to the locomotive. I keep using the word Mac to refer to this locomotive, but in reality, it is a SD70 Mace.
What is that?
A Mac that has been enhanced with more modern technology. That's why it looks so fresh. This locomotive has been upgraded with newer equipment and was also fitted with a new paint job. Hence, this is why we are seeing these locomotives so fresh sitting here. And ironically, even though this is technically a SD70 Mace, if you look on the nose of this engine, you will only see SD70 AC. That's because CSX is unique in that their system for identifying locomotives does not go above 6 characters. This doesn't just hold for the Mac, this holds for any locomotive on CSX. For whatever reason, they don't identify any units with more than 6 characters. And fortunately for CSX, the SD70 Max series is the only SD70 line that they use. So they can get away with saying an SD70 AC and it won't be confused with any other model. SD70 Max in general, both upgraded and non-upgraded, are 4,300 horsepower, massive 6-axle EMDs, fitted with HTCR trucks, and in the case of the SD70 Mace before us, you will see the marking 85/16 on it. This marks the gear ratio between the motor and the axle. In addition to the unique features of the radiators and the upgraded electronics, we can additionally find this blower duct. Now, you won't find this on an SD70M, but you will find this on other AMD models like the GP60 for example. And what this blower duct is responsible for is for directing cooler air to the traction motors during operation so that they don't overheat when the train is moving. And with this locomotive sitting here, we can also see the fuel tank, which reads 1,690, indicating the number of gallons of fuel that are currently sitting in the tank right now. These SD70 Maces that you see here are part of a larger rebuild project that CSX has been going under. Some of you may have seen images of very long deadlines of CSX power. CSX has been going into these deadlines and taking out locomotives, upgrading them with modern technology and ensuring that they meet updated standards, and also fitting them with a new coat of paint. But don't let this new appearance fool you. In reality, this locomotive was manufactured in 2004. So, at this point as I'm recording this, it's almost 20 years old. So the volume of locomotives that CSX actually possesses isn't technically changing, but the volume of active and quality locomotives that you'll see on the main line is improving by taking these older locomotives and simply upgrading them instead of having to buy another locomotive from a manufacturer like GE or EMD and investing into completely constructing a whole new locomotive instead of just improving the ones that you already have. As you can see by the lighting here, it was getting dark pretty quickly. And unfortunately for me, there was nothing else running on the main line. So all I could do was just admire these units and get any cool shots that I could of these locomotives, because I knew that this is an opportunity that I'm not going to get every single time I come out here. Fortunately for me, as light was fading, there was one thing that did pass by. This was a Norfolk Southern intermodal, probably coming over to stop at King Plow because it was moving very slow as it traversed the gaps of this parked intermodal train and went by the nose of CSX G507. And as this intermodal cleared and I could tell that it was going to stop, I finally decided to call it quits, leaving the rails and finally returning to the books to study for that test that I sadly sacrificed hours studying for to try to find those keys. And even though I went into that test, it was not 100% confident in some of my answers, I serve a good God. I hope that you guys learned something and hope that you guys enjoyed the views of this marvelous locomotive. And as always, God bless. I will see you soon out on the high